PNG labour laws under review. Ombudsman Commission on Lae-Nadzab road project. And Muthuvel calls on Treasury to repay SOE debts.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. PNG's labour laws are outdated and need to be revamped, says the new Labour Minister Lekwa Gure, and the review of these laws will be the top of his priorities in the balance of this term of Parliament. The Industrial Act, the Employment Act and the Industrial Organisations Act are currently being reviewed and will be prioritised by the Social and Law and Order Sector Ministerial Committee headed by the Attorney General.
The Industrial Relations Act, once reviewed, will cater for the creation of an Industrial Relations Commission that, amongst other powers, can reinstate dismissed workers and award damages. Minister Gure adds that the review of the Industrial Organisations Act will also safeguard the rights of workers to join registered industrial organisations like trade unions. This review will also cover other areas, including the Workers' Compensation Act. The review of this act is expected to increase the compensation paid to workers when they suffer injury or death at workplace.
This is quite well overdue, as these rates have not been reviewed for the last 26 years. So let me add here that this review will be done responsibly, taking into account the economic interest of the employer and the insurance companies as well.
The review also covers work permits of foreigners to ensure requirements are complied with and that there is a transfer of skills to locals by expatriates, something that is missing in many sectors. Minister Gure says these reviews are necessary to protect the rights of workers.
These measures, either by policy or legislation, are there to protect the rights of the workers on whose back this country continues to be built, and improve on their deteriorating standards, terms and working conditions. And in my respectful view, workers' rights is human rights.
Gure says since taking office, he has had briefings with heads of different agencies in the department and is now ready to assist the Marape Basil government to turn PNG's human capital to economic success. He sees the Labour Department as a sleeping giant if restructured and promoted well.
It is also my intention to elevate the status of this very important entity, perhaps to an economic department equivalent status, not only because of the significant non-tax revenue contribution it makes to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, or CRF, but also the very important role it plays in handling PNG's human capital and its very potential.
With the department coming under the spotlight time and again, Minister Gure says it will ensure to improve the performance of the department's staff. Ruth Rungula, National EMTV News.
The Highlands Highway is under massive reconstruction from Kagamuga in Western Highlands all the way to Nadzab in Morobe Province. Selected parts of the Highlands Highway were inspected by Works Secretary David Were, accompanied by Works Minister Michael Nali and Provincial Works officers. Constructed in the 1950s, the Development Infrastructure Program, the Marape government aims to link up all key economic roads, divided into 3 phases from Kagamuga to Mangiro, Mangiro to Hanganofi and Hanganofi to Nadzab. The construction is funded by World Bank at over 3 billion kina. Secretary Were, in a meeting with constructors in Kainantu, says the reconstruction of the highway gives PNG's young engineers an opportunity to build one of the biggest highways in PNG. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, roadworks have been delayed for 9 months, and Works Minister Michael Nali said the contractor must double up work to ensure 5 kilometers of road is sealed per month. Meanwhile, the Ombudsman Commission of Papua New Guinea has been prompted to intervene by consulting with responsible government departments to inquire about the progress of the Lae-Nadzab 4-lane road. Chief Ombudsman Richard Pagan met with the Works Minister Michael Nali on Wednesday to get a status update of this billion kina government project. Minister Nali and a delegation including the media also left for Mount Hagen on the same afternoon and did an inspection of the Highlands highway starting from Mount Hagen and ending in Lae, where the Lae-Nadzab 4-lane road is being constructed.
Chief Ombudsman Richard Pagan was compelled to inquire with the Works Department on the status of the Lae-Nadzab road, given its incomplete state. He initially met with the Works Secretary David Were, the Project Manager and the Provincial Works Manager, prior to meeting the Minister and the Finance Secretary Ken Nangan on Wednesday. Pagan said the Commission took interest in this project because it serves the Highlands region, the wider business community and the public, and the delivery of this project was vital. He added it was the Commission's mandate to ensure government bodies respond to the needs and aspirations of the people. Minister Nali told the Ombudsman Commission that the government had secured a commercial loan from Bank South Pacific, from which a 100 million kina will be allocated to complete the Lae-Nadzab road. The Commission understands that the second phase of this 4-lane road has been budgeted for. The project is fully funded by the government of PNG at a value of 1.3 billion kina. The contractor China Railway International was awarded the contract in March 2017 and commenced construction in April 2019 with a completion date set at April 2021. The contract covers a total length of 7 kilometers between 9 Mile Bulolo Junction and Yalu Bridge. The road project, however, was stalled due to lack of funding from the government. According to Secretary of Works and Implementation David Were, 45% of the physical works have been completed. However, 16 months have lapsed from the contract period of 24 months due to lack of funding. Ruth Rongola, National EMTV News.
And while explaining to the Ombudsman Commission the delay in the construction of the Lae-Nadzab road, Finance Secretary Ken Nangan admitted the government was having real financial and cash flow issues. Nangan told the Chief Ombudsman the forecasting and projections from Department of Treasury were not real money. They were only estimates which the Department of Finance relies on to pre-commit for major projects. When forecasting and projections fail, it affects the pre-committed projects. Minister Nali, whilst also stressing the importance of this road, said all road works throughout the country are facing the same dilemma due to lack of funding, saying the department had no money. Minister for State Enterprise Sasindran Muthuvel is calling on Treasury to settle all government debts owed to state-owned enterprises. Currently, the government owes SOEs 250 million kina.
The state owes a total of 250 million kina to state-owned enterprises. Minister for State-Owned Enterprises Sasindran Muthuvel wants that money to be paid.
I simply want, the Treasury to pay all the outstandings they are owing to PNG Power, they are owing it to Edaranu, they are owing it to Water PNG, they are owing it to Telecom, owing it to any of these utility SOEs at any given point of time.
COVID-19 has been tough for many companies, even the ones owned by the state. Muthuvel said they're not asking for free money, just the money owed to them. Giving back what is owed to them would be really helpful to get back on their feet and address some of their challenges.
These are, businesses where they need this funding for cash flow, and they need to buy fuel, they need to pay wages, they need to, meet all these operational costs. So, in a normal business circumstances, if you are not getting this payment, then the business, shuts down.
The biggest affected during COVID-19 is New Guinea, with the minister keen on raising the matter again in Parliament come November session. If the current trend continues, especially with the closure of international airports, the state-owned airline company is projected to lose over 200 million kina. But if other SOEs are financially secured with all debts owed to them repaid, they can assist New Guinea.
All we expect is not just the free money, but We just want these bills to be paid so that these SOEs can survive and we can support, the SOEs can support each other. For example, right now we are facing massive challenges in terms of our airline businesses. We facing severe cash flow situations.
Muthuvel acknowledges the support of the Marape Basil government in seeing through the reforms in the SOE, which has paved the way for support from ADB. ADB has approved almost 2 billion kina in loan to help finance the budget. 100 million kina is released this year, 150 million kina will be released next year, and 250 million kina in 2022. Shamin Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
In the news ahead, final exam paper for Year 10 students today. New Teachers College to be located in Kiunga, and musicians talk about the impact of COVID-19 to the industry. Those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back. Despite classes being interrupted and suspended for many schools around the country due to the worldwide pandemic of COVID-19, grade 10 students from all over the country have reached the end of the national examinations for the year 2020, having set for their last paper of English today. The grade 10 mark obtained from the final examinations will be added onto the students' internal marks.
Despite COVID-19 causing the biggest distraction of learning for many students around the country, the most hard-hit and affected group are students sitting for their final examinations, the grades 10, 12 and 8 students for the year 2020. Understandably, the wrath of COVID-19 made its mark, causing the Education Department to make major shifts to its 2020 calendar to compensate for the learning time lost during the lockdown. A concerning number would come from the nation's capital, being that after 2 consecutive lockdowns, students have missed almost 2 terms and have tried to compensate this predicament by holding remedial classes to make up for the weeks of teacher and student interaction in the classroom. The dates set for the grade 10 final examinations were extended by 2 weeks from the date originally set. Grade 10 students set for their finals earlier in the week, starting off with maths and personal development, ending with their English paper today. The question is whether they gained enough during the catch-up remedial to prepare themselves to sit for these final examinations. While most expressed satisfaction of having completed their finals, some even highlighted concerns of preparations and how their teachers tried to do their best to get the students prepared for the exams.
I think the teacher did their best on teaching us on how to do our exam, and I think we all did our part, at least we did it.
Yeah, we covered everything. We had remedial classes during the holidays, and so I'm sure that we covered everything, and the exam was okay.
We weren't able to cover all our subject topics, but the exam was good.
Some of the topics we didn't cover, but most of it we covered.
Many students remain hopeful for the final results to come, which will determine their success to continue their education in the higher secondary system. Following the end of grade 10 examinations this week, grade 12 students nationwide will be taking on their first paper come Monday, 26th of October 2020. Annette Kora, National EMTV News.
The people of Kiunga in the North Fly district of Western Province will now see the establishment of a new teachers' college in the district. The new teachers' college, which will be named St. Montfort Kiunga's Teachers' College, will help boost teacher training and build the capacity of teachers in the country. This is part of the provincial government's plan to develop the education sector in the province.
The Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Nikuman, and other delegates were in Kiunga yesterday for the groundbreaking ceremony signifying the start of the project. This will see the construction of double classrooms, administration block and principal's house. The project will cost an estimated 15 million kina and jointly funded by the North Fly DDA, Western Provincial Government and other stakeholders.
That will add value to building human capital for the current and future generations. We are building men for the future generations. Supposed to be working before, now and time.
The establishment of the Teachers College comes as a result of a Provincial Development Forum in 2018. Through the forum, the provincial and district development plans were launched in 2019. They focused on health, education and agribusiness as key development pillars. And under the education pillar, there are plans for more colleges to be established in the province.
In education development pillar, it was agreed that investments will be in elementary, primary and higher learning institutions. That was mentioned. So, today's event is a demonstration, showing color of the political leaders' commitment to implement decisions and projects identified in the 5-year plan.
Western Province has the biggest landmass in the country, with most of its elementary and primary schools located in some of the most remote areas in the province, hence a shortage of teaching staff every year. The college will address the demand for teachers in the province and visualize the dream of developing the human resource sector.
We are short of teachers every year, and to solve that we need to be able to produce our own quality and required number of teachers who can produce immediately and deploy it. To cut down all the unnecessary costs, you misalim or beginning go long way up.
The St. Montfort Kiunga Teachers College will be a church-run institution under the Catholic Agency. In his keynote address, the Higher Education Minister pledged his support for the new Teachers College, adding that proper processes must be followed to have the college accredited, as it is the key to producing quality teachers.
I also encourage those who want to start Teachers College. We are not going to stop you in the country. A private investor wants to run a private Teachers College, you can do it. Nobody's going to stop you. Who wants to partner with the churches, government and churches has got a very long history. And we fully support and we embrace what they do as an agency.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The engineering battalion in Lae's Igam Barracks now has a new commanding officer. Today, Lieutenant Colonel John Wani took over the reins from outgoing CO, Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau, who served as the commanding officer for the past 2 years, leaving behind a number of civic action projects that are being carried out by SEPAs in country. The new CO said these projects will continue under his leadership.
This morning, officers from the engineering battalion marched onto the parade grounds at the Igam Barracks in Lae to farewell the outgoing commanding officer and welcome the new CO. After the parade formalities, the outgoing CO, Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau, took charge of the parade and inspected his officers for one last time. In his speech, he acknowledged them for their efforts in the past 2 years.
So it goes back to you, men here standing here. So I'd like to commend the officers, the senior NCOs, the junior NCOs, and the SEPAs for abiding by the rules of this organization.
Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau served as the engineering battalion's commanding officer for 2 years and 10 months. Carrying on from the previous commander's work plans, the SEPAs continued working on the Medang to Baya Road under Malau's command, and troops were also deployed to the Finchafen Road project. Amidst speaking about the projects that his officers have undertaken, one memorable event was the Kumul Force 17 deployment for the Australia Bushfire Assist this year, which had 76 SEPAs from the Igam Barracks.
And this is one of the biggest and also the first PNG Defence Force disaster relief deployment, which I'm proud to say that I'm privileged as the commanding officer, and I acknowledge all my officers and senior management team that put their hands together and that made it happen.
Today, Lieutenant Colonel Bruno Malau handed over the reins of command to Lieutenant Colonel John Wani, who is now the 18th commanding officer of the engineering battalion. Lieutenant Colonel Wani is not new to the battalion. He served for up to 20 years and has been part of various projects. He says he's looking forward to continue with the engineering projects that are currently being carried out.
The Okapa Mereng, Okapa Kerama Road, the new one that had that groundbreaking ceremony yesterday, that might be my first project as the commanding officer. But yes, he did a good job. He did a lot of things that I'll have to just ride on that and then try to excel more further.
He's actually my senior. he taught me a lot of engineering skills and stuff. So basically, it's like a son handing over back to the father. So I greatly appreciate it.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
NCD Governor Paulus Pakop has been out and about in the nation's capital as part of the drive to raise awareness of breast cancer within the community. October is internationally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the governor says that with the changes in the modern PNG home and pressures on the economy, maintaining your well-being is paramount. Mr. Pakop made these remarks while visiting the Phone House Boroko flagship in Port Moresby today. The NCD governor has announced a new program of free pap smear testing available to women in Port Moresby, which will begin at the Connie Clinic before being rolled out to all public clinics in the city. Musicians have come out to express their frustration at being unable to perform to earn an income. PNG artists like Psyche, AK-47 and Anslom all speaking with MTV's Jeremy Moggy about the plight they've faced. Here's a snippet of the interviews that will go to air on Sunday nights. A closer look.
Even sport kan saya broken block ini saya logat selain activity we got more man 50,000. Too much and over. Then why not learn music too? Like we got to maybe suffer start we don't need more money.
We're just wondering when we do those gigs. We're still lined up to do those gigs, but we were waiting for the everything to ease down, and then we should be doing those gigs soon.
There's an opportunity for that particular part of the lockdown to be alleviated, and it's the only one that hasn't been.
Because the approach that you would do is give it up for free, get people all psyched up and hyped about your music. So as soon as you land a concert, everyone's there.
2017, 2018, 2019, this year, said I only did probably one live gig, and it was just for a small birthday party. Besides that, that's it.
It's all about the money at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I can't be singing and have, not making a decent income to support my bills. So, if we start putting all these things in place, the proper way, it would really help us.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2860 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2785 US, $0.3874 Australian dollars, $0.4152 New Zealand dollars, and 28.46 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa and copra closed higher. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil closed lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues with more after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The PNG Electoral Commission has requested that by-elections going into the future must be funded by the respective provincial and district authorities. This comes after more writs were issued yesterday for ward by-elections to be held in various parts of the country.
Upon returning of writs for the Kupiano Town Ward 5 by-election yesterday, new writs were issued by Intergovernment Relations Minister Pila Niningi for further by-elections to be conducted for various LLG wards in East New Britain, Milne Bay, Gulf and Central provinces. Representatives from the Central Provincial Government confirmed yesterday that the provincial government funded the Kupiano Ward by-election held earlier this month. During the issue of writs signing ceremony, PNG Electoral Commission Deputy Commissioner for Corporate Affairs John Kalamoro made a request to Minister Niningi to have the by-elections funded by respective provincial and district authorities.
We are ready to conduct the elections. We have prepared writs for them, which we will hand them over to you as well. These are for the provinces of East New Britain, Gulf, Milne Bay and Central. So we will give the writs to you, which you will sign. signaling us to go out and start conducting the field work. However, my good minister, I need to remind you that I need your support too, to get all your provinces to make sure they fund these elections. They are council elections and they have to be funded by the province.
Minister Niningi announced during the signing ceremony that ward councillors' terms in office will be extended, mainly due to many by-elections being held in between national general elections.
It is unfair that they sit only 1 and 2.5 years and then election comes. So we must extend my view is that we are allowed to extend the council terms to 5 years. So they stay in office for 5 years. So we don't have election frequently.
The minister and his department are also in the process of reintroducing the idea of issuing badges with identification numbers to ward councillors, as was the case many years ago. As the minister said, councillors are constitutionally recognized leaders and should be treated with respect.
We're also doing it in the councils is now in the process is that in the past they had what you call badges or numbers. These numbers that we will give it to all the councillors. Throughout councils will have the serial number, the council badges, they will get it.
Minister Niningi said payment of allowances for ward councillors around the country in recent months has been up to date and would like to continue that record.
As to allowances, councils, we are paying allowances, and I'm happy to thank the department and then Marabe Stephen government then, but now Marabe Basil government. So we paid councils up to date. If some councils don't get it, we're happy to receive why they didn't get it.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
And turning overseas to the U.S., President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden concluded the final presidential debate with contrasting views as they look to persuade the few remaining undecided voters 12 days ahead of the election. The debate featured plenty of personal attacks between two men who rarely display any respect for each other. Democrat Biden renewed his attacks on Trump, a Republican who adopted a much restrained tone than he did during their first presidential debate last month.
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers' money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money.
The candidates clashed over health care, China policy, and after months of anti-racism protests, race relations, with Biden saying Trump was one of the most racist presidents in history. Biden attacked President Trump's handling of the coronavirus pandemic at the final presidential debate in Nashville ahead of the November 3rd elections, while Trump leveled unfounded corruption accusations at Biden and his family.
He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
Trump responded by criticizing Biden's authorship of a 1994 crime bill that increased incarceration of minority defendants, while asserting that he had done, quote, more for Black Americans than any president. The televised encounter in Nashville, Tennessee, represented one of Trump's last remaining opportunities to reshape a campaign dominated by a pandemic that has killed more than 221,000 people in the U.S.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Trump defended his approach to the outbreak and claimed the worst of the pandemic was in the past.
We're rounding the turn. We're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Trump also claimed that a vaccine was potentially weeks away. Most experts, including administration officials, have said a vaccine is unlikely to be widely available until mid-2021. After an opening segment on the pandemic, the clash pivoted to a rapid-fire exchange over whether either candidate had improper foreign entanglements. Trump repeated his accusations that Biden and his son Hunter engaged in unethical practices in China and Ukraine. No evidence has been verified to support the allegations, and Biden called them false and discredited. Defending his family, Biden said that he had never made a single penny from a foreign country before pivoting to accuse Trump of trying to distract Americans.
There's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly.
Biden also accused Trump of skirting his taxes, citing a New York Times investigation that reported Trump's tax returns showed he paid almost no federal income tax over more than 20 years.
Here, why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
With just 12 days out from the elections on November 3rd, opinion polls show Trump is trailing Biden, though the contest is tighter in some battleground states likely to decide the election. Kilawani joins us next with tonight's Chukai Sports.
Thank you, Helen. One Volleyball Association's vision to help athletes and Olympian hopefuls continue with preparations for Tokyo 2021. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. A better life after retirement from professional sports is the cause of the formation of Manubata Volleyball Association. The president outlined their visions, aspirations, and what they have set out to do for the benefit of their athletes during the playing career and after retirement. Newly established Manubata Volleyball Association will see its Datako Cup competition grand finals this weekend. The Women's Premier, Men's Under-21 and Men's Premier grand finals all lined up for a Volley Fest this Saturday, 24th October 2020. As the association nears its short season closure, President Kiru Moria reflects on what the organization stands for and envisions for the people that matter the most in any sport, the athletes.
We want to address illiteracy plus unemployment. So we engage in educational institutions.
In having this in mind, their plans are all about giving back to the player.
We want to create semi-employment sort of engagement activities plus educational opportunities. So at least there's life during and after volleyball. What we want to do is we want to give small microeconomic business opportunities to 2 individuals within each club.
And implementation of these visions have already started.
We are also thankful to God for ITI, who provided us a scholarship last year for the 3 boys.
He stresses that the association's mission is to make sure that once the athlete resigns from professional games, the athlete should be set up, especially financially, post-professional volleyball.
Gone should be the days where you just come and play with passion, and not marrying the passion with reality. Most often, players are passionate about their sport, but in reality, the sport gives them nothing.
And Team PNG's preparations for the Tokyo 2021 presses on with the hosting of its inaugural Olympic training camp. It will be held at the National Sports Institute in Goroka from 25th October to the 2nd of November 2020. In unprecedented times of a global pandemic, the sporting calendar has been severely impacted both internationally and domestically. This forced many of Team PNG's targeted athletes to resort to training at home in flexible and unfamiliar circumstances. The Olympic training camp will be the first of its kind in the country, where it will target a multitude of sports congregating in one place with the intention of providing elite performance programs for elite coaches and athletes. Over 30 targeted athletes and coaches based in PNG from athletics, boxing, rugby sevens, sailing, shooting, table tennis, tennis and weightlifting that are still vying to qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Sailing is the only sport to have secured 2 spots for Team PNG. The week-long camp will cover sports-specific trainings, several educational programs being run, including topics such as anti-doping, competition manipulation, athlete safeguarding and mental skills, among others, and medical and physio. The Olympic Games will be hosted by Tokyo, Japan from 23rd July to August 8, 2021.
The question of whether Cameron Smith will retire after this weekend's NRL Grand Final is next. Details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Rugby League world continues to ask whether Melbourne great Cameron Smith will finally call time on his career after this weekend's NRL Grand Final. But as Channel 9 reports, the 37-year-old is in no hurry to answer.
Cameron Smith wasn't making any calls on his future today, but he was taking them.
Scott Bailey's ringing, whoever was that, but anyway. Scotty, ring back, mate.
Unfortunately, the decision the entire NRL world is waiting for could still be a while away.
Sometime after the grand final.
Will it be straight after, or will it take time to mull over?
I don't know.
Finding the will to push through another season is usually the problem for most players who pull the pin. That's not Smith's issue. He wants more quality time with his family.
I've spoken to a few of my ex-teammates that are now retired, and they've told me that it was just one day they woke up and just in their mind they didn't want to do it anymore, and that was the reason they knew it was time to finish up. So I haven't had that feeling yet.
Smith maintains Sunday's result won't influence his decision. He's still confident of holding the Provan Summons trophy once again.
You always take confidence into a game when you've got experience like we do, and we've got guys in our team that have won premierships, we've got guys in our side that have lost premierships. The guys that have been there a couple of times before are going to be vital to our side.
It's often described as the poor cousin of the Champions League, but football's Europa League has today served up a goal worthy of the biggest of stages.
A rain-drenched night in Europe's second-tier football competition. Scotland's Rangers against Belgium's Standard Liège. Excited yet? Maybe this'll do it for you.
A one-man counter-attack at the moment. He's going to go for goal. What an audacious effort! What a sensational effort!
Kamar Roof's 50-metre effort, a new record for a Europa League match.
Absolutely incredible.
Even the cameraman struggled to keep up. And check out how he digs the ball out of a waterlogged turf.
It's brilliant.
The goal was a moment of genius. He collects the ball 15 yards outside our box. He is strong for 2 challenges, holds the player off for the 3rd challenge, and then he actually takes the player on. And then to have the vision and the power and the class to score from 55 yards, I don't think I've seen a better goal, and I don't think I will see a better goal.
Audacious, outstanding, incredible. Take your pick.
A halfway goal grabbing the attention of the whole world of football.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. Helen will return with the weather report for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly fine, then afternoon thundery showers developing in Port Moresby. Fine weather in Daru. Morning rain drizzle easing, then cloudy with afternoon showers expected in Kerma. Mostly fine weather in Alotau and mostly fine with afternoon showers in Popondita. In the Momasu region, cloudy with occasional rain showers in Lae. Mostly fine with afternoon showers in Middang. Morning rain easing for cloudy day, then afternoon showers in Wewak, and mostly fine though cloudy in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with occasional showers in Lorengau. Mostly fine weather in Kavieng, Kokoporo, Bao and Buka, and mostly cloudy with possible afternoon showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing for a cloudy day with afternoon showers in Mount Hagen. Morning fog patches clearing for a cloudy day with likely afternoon showers in Goroka and Kondiawa. And morning fog clearing for a cloudy day with afternoon showers expected in Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 23rd of October 2020. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team, pleasant viewing, have a safe weekend, and good night.